All right. So this is my story, and it's called Turning Point, and thank you for everybody who helped me decide to call it that. And you should picture a little me walking along a fence outside the White House. That would be great if you could picture that. I appreciate it. I visited Washington, D.C. in 1982 when I was 8 years old. Oh, and put up an angry face if I'm going too fast, somebody. Thank you. It wasn't the first time, but it's the first of the D.C. trips I can remember. We didn't go inside the White House. We actually never did. But my mom had a lot of pictures of us on the outside, including one of me strolling along the fence. In the photo, I look like I'm daydreaming, but it certainly wasn't about being president one day. I probably wanted to be Nancy Drew and investigate a mystery inside the White House. That would have been great. I was a smart kid. I started reading at age 3. I could recite books from memory and won a prize for spontaneously being able to spell Czechoslovakia in the 3rd grade. I guess I'd seen it somewhere. It's stuck in my brain. I was put in gifted classes, and it seemed like people were always using the word potential when they talked to me. But the thing was, no one ever told me I could become president someday. Fast forward 10 years, 1992. I was turning 18, and I was so excited there was a presidential election that same year. I was in my 2nd year of college. Everyone in my small hometown knew about the girl who had gone off to New York City to be edumacated. My former teachers would ask my mother what I was studying and how I liked college, and people who'd known me since I was a baby would stop me in the grocery store and tell me how they expected this big, bright future for me. Hi, Sarah. Hi. They thought I might become a lawyer or a writer or a psychologist. The word president was never mentioned. 1992. My mother was from Arkansas, so we were a Clinton household, at least when it came to Bill. Glad you're here, Angie. I didn't know much about Hillary until the media started turning on her. They vilified her. She wasn't pretty enough, not sweet enough. Butter would melt in her smart mouth. And since I'd often been told I had a smart mouth, I liked that. The more I learned about Hillary, the more I liked her. She was educated and not afraid to own it. She had a career. She didn't stay home baking cookies and having teas. She was a badass, and I really needed a little of that in my life. I voted for Bill, but part of that vote was for Hillary Rodham. In 1995, Hillary made history in Beijing by declaring that women's rights are human rights. I missed the whole thing. I was in college and in a fight for my life with depression and anxiety. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the world because I could barely get out of bed. I think I once went for 2 weeks without going downstairs to get the mail, and you know what? No one noticed. I was living about a dozen miles away from the White House, but I had really lost the ability to dream of any sort of future for myself. And here's the part where I need Aaron's kid's stuffed animal. I managed to make it to my graduation, 1996, University of Maryland at College Park. Go Terps, I guess. I don't know. Our guest speaker was none other than the First Lady herself. Hillary spoke about the age of possibilities, about progressive politics and the new millennium. She assured us she didn't believe Gen Xers were apathetic, and she made a joke about her hair. It's really funny, actually. It was a high point in my life. The family who had gathered to watch me walk in my blue cap and gown told me how proud they were of me, how smart I was to have accomplished this goal, how I would do great things in the future. They didn't suggest that maybe I could be president. I wish I could say that the commencement address was a turning point in my life, but things are rarely that simple outside of the movies. I took a year off after college because I didn't know what to do with myself, and spent it sitting on my mother's sofa, paralyzed with self-doubt and driving her crazy. Then I went to law school because people told me I could, and I didn't have any better ideas. I got in and then out of an abusive relationship, emotionally abusive. Took me 10 years to even call it abusive. You know how that goes. It derailed my career plans. I'm sometimes ashamed to admit it, but that experience still messes with my mind today. I moved cross-country when I was 28, got married 5 years later. By the time I was 40, I had accepted I was never going to have children. Thanks, Aaron, you suck too. Kidding. Along the way, I settled into my new life and made some excellent friends. Time passed. Time passes, Things happen. They heal or they don't. 2008 came, Hillary ran for president, and that was a huge moment. For the first time, it felt real that we might have a woman holding the highest office in the land during my lifetime. My heart was broken when she lost in the primaries. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But I learned to love President Obama. Haha, funny, Aaron. I did. Deep down, I knew Hillary would run again. My faith in her kept me going, even when I sometimes wanted to give up. If she wasn't giving up, neither could I. Thanks, Ellie. I grew older and started to pack away some of my insecurities. I found a job in which people valued my skills and let me use my brain. Thanks, Jennifer Hughes, if you watch this tomorrow, and everybody else at work. I started to feel like a whole human being for the first time since I was a little girl. With you too, Liz. Love won nationwide. I finally sought some help for my anxiety and depression, and it started to seem like maybe everything wasn't actually terrible all of the time. When it was time for Hillary to run for president again, it just felt so right. Laura for prime minister. Like everything was coming together for the best in the best of all possible worlds. I let go of my natural cynicism and allowed myself to believe everything was going to be okay. No, not just okay. It was going to be great. I poured my heart and soul into the election. At least it felt that way. I lived in California. How much did I really have to do? I put up signs and stickers. I wore my t-shirts and buttons, and I posted every positive Hillary story I could find. I became a great keyboard warrior against Trump. I was absolutely certain he would not win. I took out a map. I showed my coworkers why Florida, my birthplace, was gonna come through for us this time. I have general anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, and chronic severe depression, y'all. Combine those with a natural cynicism about people, and I am rarely optimistic. But this time I believed. Why? Because I believed in her. Hillary Rodham Clinton had been my hero for 24 years, and now she was going to be my president. I was dancing with excitement on the morning of November 8th. I'd taken a pass on early voting so that I could go to the polls on the day and savor the experience. My husband and my stepson came with me, and we took a group photo I entitled Nasty Woman and Her Two Bad Hombres. The champagne was on ice, and I was ready. This is where in the movies we do a little fade away, because then the glass ceiling came crashing down right on my head. Devastation. Utter and complete devastation. I took an emergency pill and curled up in the fetal position in my bed, hoping for oblivion. Unfortunately, when I woke up on November 9th, it was still true. I spent the day in my pajamas with my phone tuned to a support group for Hillary supporters. Millions of other women and men were pouring out their agony and grief. We cried together. We got angry together. We held one another's hands. It was cathartic and consoling. Yeah, Andrea, I can't help myself. I wasn't going to, but I just can't help myself. But as much as I appreciated this commiseration, I couldn't shake the grief. Beyond the horror of a Trump administration was pain. Something I had wanted so intensely was never going to happen. And beyond myself, there was the sorrow I felt for Hillary. I couldn't imagine giving so much of yourself for so long to so many. Standing up to bullies everywhere you turn, shrugging off insults and hiding your tears like I cannot, just to lose the most important battle of your life. I couldn't imagine the depth of her disappointment while I wallowed in my own despair. And then things started to change. As I continued to read the stories of other women and men who are finding ways through their sorrow, my depression began turning into determination and my anger into action. I realized more people were going through the same emotions I had, more than I ever would have realized. During those dark days, I connected with almost 4 million women and men who have collectively said we are stronger together. We have resolved that we can do more, we can work harder, and we will. The year 1996 hadn't been my turning point, but 2016 was. I've pushed past the anxiety, as you can see, because it's time to put my words into motion and be the goddamn change. Hillary would expect it of me. I'll never get over the fact that she won't be my president, but she will always be my hero, and I refuse to let her down. It's 2017, and Hillary Rodham Clinton has shown us the way. We just have to have the courage to follow. And that's the end of the story. Any questions? Or should I just hang up on you?